All right. So, hey, Yes.Fit fam, it's Chris, and welcome to another vlog podcast episode. I have Dr. Emily Splichal on the call. Dr. Emily, is that better if I just call you Dr. Emily today? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
So I have a big slew introduction that I've written up, but it just must be better if you just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us and tell everybody what you do and what you do best.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for having me on, and hello to everyone who's tuning in. My name is Dr. Emily, Dr. Spichal. I'm a functional podiatrist, so a foot specialist. I'm also a human movement specialist. I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years, and I've written several books, and I also run a company called Naboso, where we have sensory products, including insoles, mats, flooring, to just help people move better. That's really my mission. Everything I do is to help people move better and live longer.
Yeah, that's a big one now, especially nowadays. Now you did mention that you had like a small fitness journey. I know that what we know is that you were a fitness instructor now still, or younger, or you know, where's your fitness journey and how did you start and how did you end up where you're at now?
Yeah, so I was actually a competitive gymnast for 13 years. So that's
amazing. Yeah.
Started in sports. And then I personal trained and taught classes kind of over my entire journey. And I still teach fitness today. I have an instructor certification for a barefoot workout that I created. And then I've been teaching that a couple times a week. Of course, COVID kind of put a little monkey wrench in that. But I love teaching fitness. And when I teach classes, the members give me more, I feel like just emotionally, than probably I give them. I find it very satisfying to teach fitness to people.
And so as a fitness instructor myself, it's the personalization, the one-on-one, that the human one-on-one connection is a big deal. And I think that's the big motivating aspect for us, especially now. Like, our platform obviously is digital fitness, so some of that human element is gone, and so we try to be creative to figure out how to get that back. But now you are, as you know, are an expert in podiatry, and the biggest thing I think you've told me in another conversation that you've found an affinity for foot health and like barefoot running. So like getting into the barefoot running aspect. So you ran, obviously we're a running company as well. So I'm thinking you ran with shoes before, insoles, and then found that those weren't really good for you, or found some other better way to do it. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm actually a proponent on, yes, barefoot. So barefoot will be the catch word that means so much more than just literally barefoot. Barefoot running is where it started. For anyone who's familiar or remembers the barefoot running boom, Born to Run, the 5-finger shoes where people thought you had these little funky monkey feet. I loved those shoes and kind of that movement, which is barefoot running, is what lay people will refer to it. But really what I advocate is sensory stimulation throughout your day or your fitness programming. So that means, are you thinking about the shoes that you wear, or maybe no shoes, when you do your squats and your lunges or your kettlebell workout? Or if you are a runner, can you choose footwear that favors bringing in that sensory information? And then just throughout your day, are you just thinking about your feet and your foundation? Do you release your feet? Do you strengthen your feet? And our feet are so powerful to our core and to our hips. So when people are looking for like optimal glute strength, right away my mind goes to what is their foot strength and their foot connection to then help optimize their hips and their glutes. So yes, barefoot running, but so much more beyond just literally I'm running without shoes on.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a common misconception that a lot of we have is, oh no, Dr. Emily, she just runs outside barefoot on asphalt. And when it could be hot outside, how's that going to work? We're here in Florida, so like putting your bare feet on pavement would be something else. Even now in the middle of December, we can probably burn your feet off on running. So a lot of our members want to know the importance of like foot health. So we have members that are starting to run, and having weight challenges, and there's a lot of weight that they're putting on their feet as they go out and run. Is there any like tips or suggestions that they should be looking for if they're first starting to get off the couch, technically, for lack of a better word, and going out there and starting to walk and starting to jog a little bit for a few moments for distance?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question, because this is a lot of patients that I see. Is I will have a patient or an individual who is, they're ready, they're excited to get into this new fitness program. Like you said, maybe it's walking or it's running. Those are some of the most common first activities that people will do, because it's technically free. You don't really need a lot. There's not a lot of equipment outside of obviously a pair of shoes, or maybe some release tools. But what you'll actually see is that people underestimate the impact of just going for a walk every day on their feet, like from a stress perspective. So then they start to do this walking program to start getting in shape, moving again, start to lose some weight. And then they start to get plantar fasciitis, heel pain, the back of their heel where their Achilles tendon is, maybe their great toe starts to bother them, because they're just not used to that amount of stress. So what I tell these individuals, and I encourage everyone who's listening, is as you start to stress your body, your feet, you really want to focus on what are you doing from a recovery perspective every single day. And our feet take a beating. So I encourage people to release their feet. You can roll your feet on a golf ball, lacrosse ball. Really, you could find anything. If you don't have any equipment, find a rolling pin in your kitchen and roll your foot on it. I don't care what people do, but release the feet every day. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, when you're brushing your teeth, right? Just kind of do this at the same time. And then you'll start to get this accumulative recovery for your feet and the muscles of the feet. That's my number one recommendation for people.
Now, I've been hearing this term shot around called short foot. Can you kind of explain that for us? Because that's something that I've been hearing, especially with this type of modalities with barefoot running.
Yes. So short foot exercise is a technique to strengthen your foot muscles and to also get your feet to connect to your core, which is really the secret sauce behind all of my programming that I've developed, is foot to core sequencing. Now, short foot, super simply stated, is that when you push your toes into the ground, and for anyone who's listening, if you're sitting or you're standing and you just push your toes down into the ground, almost like you're anchoring, or like a gecko will kind of have the little sticky pads and push into the ground. When you do that, that action engages the foot muscles. You are technically doing short foot.
Oh, okay.
And that pushing of the toes down, engaging of the foot muscles, is a powerful exercise to strengthen the feet to withstand the stress of running or walking increased steps to lose weight or to get in shape.
Okay. That seems like something that somebody can do, especially now that folks are working from home. You can just do that sitting down in your desk. Is there like a particular amount of time frame that they're supposed to do that, or just here and there as they become aware that they need to do those exercises?
Yeah, so I typically like people to do it either intermittently throughout the day, and you just kind of connect to your feet, hold for 5 seconds, release, push your toes down, connect to your feet, hold 5 seconds. Do that for, say, 5 repetitions. Or I actually, on my YouTube channel, I have a bunch of exercises and videos on how to activate the body or warm up the body, let's say before going for a run. And what I want people to do before their run is a little 5-minute activation, which incorporates breathing, engage the pelvic floor, wake up your deep core muscles, and then do short foot. And you technically do all of that at the same time to sequence your feet and your core. So eventually, when you get a little bit more sophisticated in short foot, you want to engage your foot at the same time as your core. And it is initially like, whoa, that's a lot, like kind of patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time, but you get used to it. And it's very powerful to really connect the body.
I mean, we'll definitely let them know where to go for that. And you probably have an extensive, I've seen your YouTube page and have an extensive amount of information there, especially through your Evidence-Based Fitness Academy. So that takes me to that side of things. And it seems like you have an extensive array of information and other professionals there at the Academy. And I think you're teaching, I guess, tell me all about that. Tell me all about the Academy.
Yeah, so EBFA, or Evidence-Based Fitness Academy, I started in 2010 and then started launching our certifications in 2012, but it's a contents company or an education company, primarily targeted to professionals, so trainers, coaches, therapists. However, I do have a lot of consumers, patients, lay people, athletes that will take the training, knowing it's going to be a little bit more sophisticated, right? Maybe a little over their head, but not a problem, because they really want to understand their body. So I do encourage, if any of the listeners are not a professional, but you're still really curious to understand your body and kind of take ownership of your body, which is what I advocate as well, then you can go to ebfaglobal.com, and we have online courses, we have live courses that links to our YouTube, which is what you referenced. And we have, I think, over 200 videos on there that are all education based. So it's a great resource for people.
That sounds fantastic. What has been kind of a lot of your struggles or concerns that you've had with being in the barefoot industry? So what are a lot? I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Folks are kind of taken aback of the word barefoot, and they just obviously think you're running outside without any shoes and stuff like that. So what is like the big elevator pitch that you have to give to clients that come in, or somebody like myself who might be interested in doing that from traditional methods of putting your feet in like regular running shoes?
Yeah, so a lot of people are still under the belief of, I would say, media and large footwear companies such as Nike, Adidas, New Balance, things like that, where they will say, you need support. If you have a flat foot or you have a lower arch, you need support, you need an orthotic. And the podiatry community obviously pushes that as well. And then you have this other side that is minimal, no cushion, zero drop, barefoot stimulation. And people get a little bit nervous on which side to be on, because they've always been told to be on this side of support. However, when you get someone that's not working for them, then they start to have a little bit of curiosity that maybe all of this support could be contributing to my knee pain or my foot pain or my back pain. And then they start to gravitate over to this other side, and their pain goes away like this. And they start to feel connected to their body in a new way. And that's really exciting to see that. So what I would say is, to everyone who's listening, is to educate yourself about the opportunity or the benefit of this side being the more minimal, barefoot, less cushion, less support. Now, a caveat to that is that environment does not have to be your only environment. So if you are a nurse who has to stand on her feet or his feet all day in the hospital, don't be in a minimal shoe, because that doesn't match the activity that you're doing. Or if you are pounding the pavement literally on the concrete, well, maybe you shouldn't be in a minimal shoe, because concrete is very impactful on the body. It's very stressful from an impact force perspective. So that's where you also want to be more specific about the appropriateness of the shoes or the environment that you're in. And that's where you had said, what is maybe some of the hurdles or the kickback or some of the barriers that I've experienced in this space, is that people think that I am talking X equals Y, like I'm talking in definites, which is what I'm not. Everyone at a certain period can be barefoot. Does that mean everyone should be doing box jumps and burpees barefoot? No, like I would never say that. So we have to make sure that there's an understanding of the appropriateness and the gray that is in between things that are being said. Having said that, everyone benefits from sensory stimulation, even if that's just waking up in the morning, barefoot, brushing your teeth and releasing your feet. That to me is technically falls under barefoot strong. You are being barefoot strong.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good to hear. And I actually that's when you talked about sensory and how the foot connects to the core. Obviously, the brain plays a lot of importance in that. And a lot of our, folks that are listening to are thinking, how can, with the foot having being very, very important in a day-to-day aspect. Is this something that you thought about in creating Naboso, coming into, this aspect, this criteria about sensory? And I've seen some of the mats and the insoles when seems like they have little spikes on them. So tell me all about what is the main thought about having this company, creating it?
Yeah, so Naboso is my products company. So I am, as I said, I'm podiatrist, so doctor. I have the clinical side. I have the education company, which uses my education as a podiatrist. And then Naboso would be the products company that allows me to help people to get more activation and connection through their feet, based off of the education that is saying why it's so good for you, right? And then the credibility of the podiatrist. So they all kind of interrelate. Now, Naboso and all of our products, insoles, mats, and flooring, all of them have a material with these tiny little pyramids across the entire surface. And I actually have a pair here. And these little pyramids, you can see for those, these are in my shoes, so I'm so sorry they're dirty, but you can see those little pyramids. Right. And if for those that are just listening to the audio and don't see the video, is imagine having a insole or a mat with little tiny braille dots across it. It's kind of similar to that. And that 2-point discrimination. So it's texture, but it's 2-point discrimination, right? You touch braille. Oh, I can feel there's 2 points. That's telling your brain that there's 2 points. Now, the way that your body works, your nervous system works, is that sensory information communicates to the brain and tells the body where it is in space. So if I want to control my movement and my coordination, I have to know where my body is, right? How do I relate to the floor or to the bike that I'm on? Whatever is based off of sensory information. So we are accessing the feet through texture to wake up the brain and enhance body awareness. And that's resulted in amazing results on people's foot strength. When people run, they actually strike the ground more accurately, better, right? Versus like pounding the pavement, they actually feel the pavement because this texture is talking to them. There's research that shows less impact forces when you run in textured insoles. People who stand a lot for work or have standing desks, even at home, you're standing at your home office, using our products, our mats, allows you to wake up your nerves and decrease foot fatigue. So there's a lot of application in performance, pain, foot fatigue, and then just overall fitness and wellness. It's really exciting to see the impact it has by helping people connect to their feet.
What is the most interesting profession besides fitness? Besides me at the gym wearing the insoles doing kettlebell swings or squats or something, because we see those guys without the shoes. They're out there doing the squats, and then folks that are out there wearing minimalist shoes. What are some interesting professions that you've been able to have Naboso be involved with, and then having their results be kind of like a surprising result for you on how that sensory works for them?
Yeah, so there's two. One of them is people who have to stand on their feet. So manufacturing floor workers as an example, or you could think like Amazon, FedEx, nurses, police officers, right? That whole category of people. And we actually went into Stanley Black & Decker, which a lot of people are probably familiar with them, right? And one of their factories or manufacturing facilities And we had 30 of their employees, and they were like, we have no injuries. Like, our union is so happy because we have no injuries. But we spoke to these 30 employees, and like 95% of them had foot pain, back pain, fatigue. By Wednesday, they were just like, I get home and I just crash on the couch and I can't move, which means I don't participate in exercise or activities. All I do is work. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm shot. My legs are shot. So we were like, okay, like something's happening with these people who stand on their feet all day. They wore our insoles for 6 weeks. And then we tracked them every 3 weeks. We had like a 95% decrease in foot pain, back pain, fatigue, improved productivity, improved quality of life. I mean, it was crazy that the C-suite at Stanley Black & Decker was like, whoa, come here. They wanted to actually learn about our insoles. And now we're speaking to them about potentially licensing them and actually having it be an insole for all kind of manufacturing employees and things like that. So that was really exciting. And I see that for nurses as well as a great application. And then on the other side was on the neuro rehab, so neurological rehab. And we have a few spinal cord injury facilities. And these are people who have different levels of spinal cord injuries, and they're in wheelchairs, and they go to these rehab facilities to learn to walk again. And these people feel their feet again. Like, people with spinal cord injuries are using our insoles, and they're like, I can feel my feet once I have those insoles in. I mean, my mind is blown on that because there's a neurological injury. And then we see that also with neuropathy, stroke, Parkinson's, TBIs or brain injuries. It's really quite amazing. And really what I want the takeaway from me giving these examples is not just, oh, go buy the Naboso insoles, which I would say go buy the Naboso insoles, but really I want you to appreciate the power of the foot, like the power of the brain, which everyone, like, the brain is fascinating, and the neuroplasticity of the brain, but really the foot as an access point into the nervous system in the brain. Huge, so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, touch. I mean, touch is extremely important. Feel, touch, yes. Very, very important.
Yeah.
So, go with any like new. Are you working on anything that's that is in development now that's related to what you're going to do for foot health podiatry? I know you're in a mix of 3 or 4 different things that you want to do, and that all encompassing of who you are. Is there like new emerging technology that you're very, very adamant in getting into, that you're seeing develop, new procedures, new movements that you are looking at right now?
So we are, I'll answer that maybe in a way that you might not want answered, but in a way that I can answer, is with Naboso specifically, is we're getting involved in various university-based research studies to just see a little bit more about what's happening. They are now using MRI and EEG techniques to see what happens when you bring in touch stimulation, right? Specifically, we're looking at Naboso touch, but what parts of the brain are being activated, and are they being activated the same in all different individuals? Maybe someone had a stroke. Does the brain activate in a certain way that's different than someone who's healthy based off of texture stimulation? So that's one side that we're doing. Another area that I'm looking at to try to advocate more is I'm very much fascinated in internal sensation as much as external sensation. External sensation is touch, kind of like you had referenced, right? Proprioception, things like that. But I'm also very curious on how it connects to interoception, which is your body's perception of its internal environment. This is like a best example of that for the listeners is butterflies, like butterflies in your stomach. Some people who are very in touch with their body can perceive that the butterflies in their stomach is anxiety, right? Like I'm a little nervous or I'm excited, right? It could actually be both, right? I'm excited, so I have butterflies, or I'm nervous or I'm scared, so I have butterflies. Perception, right? And then there's other people that are less connected to their body, that they get butterflies and they think they have gas or IBS, right? Digestive issue. So my fascination is bridging and bringing external perception through Naboso and texture to help people kind of find this conduit into their internal balance. And it's a fascinating area where people look at mind body, right? That connection. So mind body connection. And I'm actually writing about that in a new book that I have called Sensory Sapiens, is that bridge or that connection.
That's interesting. Any yoga instructors have come to you specifically? This is just out of the blue. Come to you specifically just for, because I talked about, I do yoga a lot, so I'm very interested in it, specifically to build programs and build yoga flows around your Naboso mats.
Yep. So we have there's a yoga technique through Yes.Fit. It's a trauma-based yoga practice. That's one, right? So they're essentially using the texture to create safety. It's an anchor. So we can use external stimuli to anchor us to our internal safety being, right? Which would be a yogic way of doing it. And then we do have others that focus more on like senior yoga, where we actually lose mind-body connection with age. So you actually lose mind-body connection as you get older. So in the aging population, bringing in mind-body sensory internal external is really important from a fall reduction perspective. So there are applications, and I'd be really curious to see how you connect that as well through your practice.
Yeah, of course.
I'll get you a mat then.
Yeah, I know. I get you a mat. Now, last question. And a lot of our members, they're, like I said, they're running. I'm going to circle back to one of the earlier questions. We're talking about your sensory-based products and how they help with your spatial awareness. Why should folks start looking into Naboso compared to a basic orthotic that they're getting at your Walmart or your Targets, where folks are like, my feet hurt, I just need more cushion, or my feet hurt, I need, this is what I saw, I need this as an arch support. I know we touched base upon it, but why are you such a big advocate for between the two, not necessarily ripping the two apart, but definitely putting a definite of, this is why you need this, and this is why maybe you might not need these orthotics. So I know you want to get away from the orthotics.
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they hear the word foot pain, foot function, insole, their mind goes to support, cushion, and then like this arch structured device, let's say. All of those are looking at the foot and the body very mechanically, which means that I'm just all these joints that are moving. I have an arch, I pronate, supinate, like all these terms that, don't worry about it. That's one side of looking at the feet and the body and movement. But we have this other side that is sensory, neuro, brain, fascia, like this whole side over here that a lot of people don't understand actually influences this side. One has to happen before the other. And this side, the sensory side, actually precedes or influences this whole mechanical side. So all insoles, arch supports, and orthotics on the market have a structure to them, a arch support structure, and then the top cover. So that's what your foot is actually touching, is smooth. All of them on the market are smooth, which means there's this opportunity that's being overlooked, neglected, misunderstood, that is not being accessed. And that's the nervous system of the skin. The skin is actually what touches the orthotic, right? And that's what we try to do with Naboso. Now, our insoles are thin. They are freely movable. So those that are on the video, like I'm twisting and turning and I can totally roll this up, right? Which means that you could actually combine the insoles. If you want to use a super feet arch support, but you want the sensory, then I would want you to put ours on top of that arch support. So you combine them. And ours are thin enough. Ours are 3 millimeters thin. So it goes on top. So that's where I would say people, if you're like hard set on an arch support, just add in some sensory because it's so important. If you don't really need the arch support, I challenge you to then look at just the sensory for enhanced foot function. But we all benefit from enhanced foot function.
No, that's perfect. I mean, I didn't even know that you can combine the two together. So that's actually very, very, very smart, especially I think for folks who aren't totally sold on it yet, or they may need that extra support, at least for the meantime.
Yep.
Now this is great, Dr. Emily. This was such a great amount of information. You're everywhere. So you are everywhere. You have your doctorate side, you have your educational side, and then you have your company. Like you have the trifecta of the total package. I don't have anything else to cover really with you, Dr. Emily. I appreciate you coming in and sitting in with me and Yes.Fit, and hopefully folks that are listening can really get a lot of information out of it. Again, do you have anything that we can plug for you? So you have naboso.com, any Instagram and your other personal websites that you have?
Yeah, so I have Naboso.com is the product company to access the feet. EBFA Global is my education company. This links to our YouTube channel with all the videos. And then I have my podiatry practice site where I see virtual patients. I see patients from all around the world, obviously in person as well. That is my name. So dremilysplichal.com. And then of course I'm on all the social platforms. I have a book called Barefoot Strong, which is a really good way for the consumer or the listener to just get it's like the Cliff Note version of what I preach about or what I believe in. And it's a short read. It's kind of like if you were going on a flight somewhere, you would probably finish it on the flight. On Amazon, Barefoot Strong. And then, like I said, I have another book coming out called Sensory Sapiens that will be the beginning of 2021.
Oh, that's perfect. Stay on the call, but this is it for the podcast vlog, guys. Thank you guys for joining in. Stick around. We got other more exciting episodes either for me, Coach Cece, or special guests like Dr. Emily, who's here. Thank you, guys.